Bust, the game show where we find 3 used vehicles, tell you whether or not you should buy or bust them, guess what they're going to sell for at auction, and well, we're going to find out who wins. And Brendan, this is a special episode.
Yes, this is my final buy or bust and my final video on the TFL Classics. And you have picked the first car, and it's kind of an interesting pick, Tommy. Did you pick it because of signifying the end of my TFL career?
Yeah, it's a Hearse.
It's a Hearse. That's right, folks. An 02 Cadillac Hearse, the highest quality vehicle to make your exit in. Let's go check it out. Now, Brendan, at Dealer's Auto Auction of the Rockies, we have the 2002 Cadillac DeVille Hearse?
Yeah, it's the DeVille, which is basically their large luxury sedan. Now, interesting enough, this was a front-wheel drive sedan with a North Star engine.
That's right. So this is not only a comfortable way to depart this world, it's also a fast way. If you want to get to the underworld quicker than anyone else there, you gotta have 32 valves of North Star power.
Well, that's because it's going to leave you stranded on the side of the road, right?
Yeah, you're not gonna make it to your funeral, but you will make it into the ground one way or another. 255 horsepower, front wheel drive, 4-ish speed automatic.
Yeah.
This is how I want to go out in this world, and wait till you see the back end. Look at the quality. The Landau top, which is more of a trampoline rubber.
What happened up there?
Someone tried to escape. Someone in the back tried to escape out the roof.
They didn't verify the person was dead first?
Probably what happened there. You've got the, what's that, the opera light back there?
Yeah.
The chrome embezzled siding. Wow.
Well, and then you open up the back, and here's where the business end of it is, I suppose, where you put the casket, I guess my casket in this sense, and this even has like little rollers on it, so that way it makes it easy to roll that heavy guy right in.
Full mahogany, and why is it wet? What is that? Oh, I don't want to touch that.
Maybe we'll just think they washed it, and maybe the rear window's got a little bit of a leak.
Look, there's even casket transportation. Front and rear beer bins must be used. Oh, beer. This is a case mobile is what this is. Beer bins, beer pins must be tight against caskets. I don't know what any of that means. But we're gonna hop on the inside and take the Hearse down the test track. So, Case, it is unfortunately a 2-seater, no room for Brendan.
Wait, no, I'm here. I just, sorry, let me slide the window open so I can talk to you guys.
Oh, well, yeah, there you go. It's where you belong, I guess.
I don't have any seat belts back here, and I have this one little bar that I hope will stay put as we go down the test track.
Oh, you won't need them. This is pretty slow.
Where is that bar where I think it is?
It's right front and center.
Yes, so it's it might be the death of Brendan's family jewels today.
Yeah, maybe. We're not doing any braking tests, right?
Yeah, brakes work.
Okay, yep.
Brendan's voice might get significantly higher as the video goes along today. Now here's my plan, folks. This is why I think this Hearse is cool. Case, would you agree that for a few $1,000s, this would make a cool custom camper?
Actually, no.
Not at all, huh?
No, it's got no ground clearance, so you're not going to go to any cool trailheads. Its front wheel drive is unreliable because of that North Star, so if you do manage to get anywhere, you'll be stranded.
Yeah, but look how comfortable. I mean, this seat doesn't go back very far.
Well, you're not camping in it when it's moving.
yeah, but I'm saying the seat is a little small because we got some baggage back there.
I hate to interrupt. Do you mind putting the air on? It's a little hot back here.
Do you have vents back there? Do the dead need vents?
Well, I guess I don't.
It also smells like a urinal cake.
It doesn't smell like a urinal cake. Why are you smelling urinal cakes?
Be honest. How do you not?
I don't go around sniffing urinals, believe it or not.
That's like turbocharging.
You don't take a big whiff right before you go wee?
No, I try to keep my nose
plugged. You hold your breath
plugged.
the whole time you're in the bathroom?
Yeah, because my pees are normal length and you can do that.
All right. I'm braced for the test track. Let's do this. Give it everything she's got, Tommy.
So, folks, I did say 255 horsepower. I was wrong. It's 275.
Wow.
300 pound-feet of torque.
What?
Yeah.
Out of a North Star?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Let's feel it.
I'm ready.
Brendan, hold on. Oh, we got a burnout. Look at the power. Dear God.
It's not slowing down.
Okay.
Yeah, it is not slowing down. say that was easily as quick as walking.
Yeah.
Easily.
Even quicker.
Brendan, now how would you rate the rear seat comfort? Is this a good family
I mean,
car?
are we giving it like a 1 through 10?
We're giving it a 1 through 10.
Well, I don't know what the front is, but I can tell you the rear is about roughly a 0.
How about safety?
Also a 0?
I would say though, if you were going to get in an accident in a hearse, just make it a big accident, and then they just bring you right to the cemetery.
Yeah,
Well, if you're in the back, they already assume. They're like, well, he was dead already, right?
He was dead on arrival. Guys, I like this hearse. I really think that there is a potential here. The TFL hearse to camper conversions.
Prove it. Buy it.
Imagine Andre in this.
Well, here's the question, though. I guess let's park it up and see whether we'll buy it or bust it.
Sounds great.
Hey, could someone let me out? I can't, there's no door handle back here.
Apparently there is no door handle case.
I wonder why.
To get out of the back of a hearse.
How strange.
It's like if you died and came back to life, they really don't want you getting out the back of a hearse.
It's weird.
All right, so buy or bust. For me, total buy. For you?
Well, I didn't get to ride in front, so it's gonna be a bust, but it's also mainly because it's a North Star.
And case?
Yeah, it's a bust. It's easily a bust.
But what's it gonna go for across the auction block? And here's the thing that I really don't know. I've never seen a hearse go across the auction block. These Cadillac DeVilles are essentially worthless, but this one has 72,000 miles, seems to be in okay shape, but it's also a hearse, so I have no idea the value. What do you think? This is your car, I'm gonna let you go first.
$8,900.
80? You think someone's gonna pay $8,900 for this?
Did you see the mahogany? The mahogany, the Landau top. This is an $8,900 car.
I think at best this is like $3,000.
Case?
I'm gonna go $1,500.
You really hate the hearse.
Yeah, I really do.
Nothing you like about this
Genuinely.
thing. All right, well, let's go to the auction and find out what happens.
All right, so it is day of the auction. I've got a few extra people here to give us some of their guesses, starting with Nathan. First up was this hearse that we have sitting behind us. I'm curious to know, you've gotten a chance to look at it a little bit. What do you think it's gonna go for?
I'm gonna say $8,000.
$8,000.
Yes. You know why? Because kids are gonna want to buy it and hang out in front of retirement homes. That's one of the reasons. It'll make an excellent ice cream truck, another reason. And frankly speaking, it's got quad pipes. How many hearses have quad pipes?
Well, that's true. I think it's a pretty healthy guess. Let's see, we've got one more presenter to give a guess on it. And the last person to give their guess is Alex. Alex, what do you think this Cadillac hearse is gonna go for?
I'm gonna say $6,000. I think it's really cool. Everything in me I want to buy it. I mean, I would love to drive this around. But we're at a dealer auction. Most of the people buying here are car dealers.
Yep.
And this is just a hard sell for a car dealer. So I don't think it's gonna go for that much. $6,000 is my guess, even though it's in really good shape.
Let's find out.
All right, the hearse is rolling. They're getting it pulled up to the bay. Let's see what it goes for. All right, so the hearse went through. They started off asking $5,000. No one wanted to put in that bid. Went down to 4, down to 3, down to 2. Once it got down to $2,000, then it started getting some action. Ran all the way up to $2,750, but that was put in on an offer. So the seller has to review that and accept it. We're not quite sure if it's sold yet, but at $2,750, I think Brendan with his $3,000 guess was pretty close. Case was $1,500, so he was well under it. And yeah, I think me and Nathan were way above what it was worth. So there you go.
For my selection, I am picking the first generation Scion XB. And well, here's the thing, before you blast me, we're limited here by what actually is on the lot at the auction and also what starts. I actually wanted to bring you guys a first generation Nissan Pathfinder because those have a soft spot in my heart, but this is my backup choice, and I think these are pretty cool. What do you think of them, Case?
This doesn't surprise me at all because you like somewhat strange off-color vehicles that most people don't usually think of when they think that's a car I want to buy. And this is right along those lines, especially because of the transmission.
Yeah, this one's pretty cool, actually. This is the first generation Scion XB. Let's pop the hood first before we talk about that transmission. But the first generation Scion XB came out in 2004 and was only sold through 2006. And they all came with this, which is, I believe it's a 1.5 liter 4-cylinder, but they only put out about 108 horsepower. Ooh. Because let's remember, this is based off of the Toyota Echo.
Yeah, which is not a muscular platform to base a vehicle on, but Toyota underpinnings should mean it's a relatively reliable vehicle, and this has got 118,000 miles on it, which is actually not that much.
No, and whenever you see these out there, they've all either been beat to an inch of its life, or they've been modified so poorly and so badly that you just wouldn't want to own it because you'd be embarrassed to drive around in it. This one's completely stock from what I can tell. Let's check out the inside. So on the inside of the Scion XB, I will say it's pretty smartly laid out. Now, you have a very simple instrument cluster here up front. We've got big chunky knobs that make it easy to move your HVAC controls, a very simple basic radio, and I do kind of find it interesting that the tachometer and speedometer are kind of, they're not like centered, but they're like 2/3 of the way over.
Just in case your passenger wants to poke their eye around and see what you're revved up to or what speed you're doing. The other interesting thing is this has got a pretty massive manual transmission shifter here, 5-speed. Pretty cool that you could get it in a manual, though.
Well, yeah, if you got the automatic, it was only a 4-speed, so the 5-speed is the one you'd want to get. And then you do have 2 little cup holders here up front, but if that's not enough for you, they give you a little bonus one up here for the passenger.
Yeah, and a lot of cubbies, so there's quite a bit of storage space in here, which is pretty nice. And a lot of headroom because it's very boxy.
Absolutely. Let's take it out for a spin. All right, I've driven these before in automatic form, but I've never driven the manual version. And I'm kind of curious to see if the manual spices it up a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know if a lot of people hold out for the manual versions of Scion XBs, but it does make it at least marginally more interesting.
Yeah, and I used to have a Plymouth Voyager manual. That was actually the first ever video that I did with TFL. And I will say the shifter feels exactly like that. It kind of is like a little bit of a throwback, and it feels like a 1980s Plymouth Voyager manual, except this is faster.
So a little vague, long throws.
And it's kind of like low down. You're having to like reach down to get it. Even as long as this transmission is, you do kind of reach down to grab it.
Yeah, but now we get to see how this 1.5 liter motivates the machine.
And that's everything.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's not bad, actually.
It's a pretty small, light vehicle, so it's not like it needs a 5-liter V8 to be able to get out of its own way. I think that's actually pretty solid, and the ride quality is not bad.
Yeah, I mean, keep in mind, again, this was based on a Toyota Echo. So this is a subcompact platform, and I think this is maybe the coolest version of a subcompact you could buy.
I just love how boxy it is. I think that gives it the endearing quality that you want out of a potentially very cheap car that you could find on the used market and just use as a commuter.
Well, let's park it up and see whether we'll buy it or bust it.
All right, Brendan, on your pick out of the mix, are you gonna buy it or bust it?
Well, obviously it's a buy. I mean, these XBs, when you're talking about a subcompact car, this is about as cool as it gets. What do you think? Are you gonna buy it or bust it?
For the right price, I'm actually gonna buy it because this would be a decently fun, interesting commuter that if you could get for a low enough price, it'd be nice. Go shift gears around town and barely sip on fuel.
Well, let me throw out the price first since this is my pick. Now, I think because this is actually a pretty nice example, and these are becoming kind of hard to find in nice condition, I think across the auction block, this is gonna bring $4,000. What do you say?
That's a pretty high number. I am going to say $3,000. And, of course, always ever busy, Tommy Micah had to jet, but he put in a guess for this of $2,400.
Well, let's toss the auction and see who's right. All right, so next up is the Scion XB. And Nathan, what is your guess on the price?
$4,250.
Well, that kind of cancels out my guess of $4,000, but I guess we'll go with it.
Yeah.
And Alex, how about you? What do you think that Scion XB is going to go for?
I'm gonna guess $5,000. I think the sun's out today, it's nice and warm, people are gonna feel like it's spring and overpay a little today.
That's the highest guess so far. We'll see who's right. So the Scion XB opened up at $4,000, getting a pretty decent amount of action, eventually selling for $4,800, which means that Alex, you are the winner of the car that I picked.
I am actually a little surprised. I thought my guess was a little up there, but I guess I'm good at guessing it. I've actually never seen this car. I only saw a photo of it, so I didn't have much to go off of, but glad I won.
Well, congrats. You are clearly in tune with the Scion XB market.
Thank you.
Let's see which one's next.
And my pick, to nobody's surprise, is a 1988 Corvette. Why is that not surprising? Because I used to own a 1988 Corvette. Brendan?
Of course, the day that you come to the auction, there's a C4 Corvette sitting here waiting for you to pick it to present it on camera today.
Now, this particular C4 Corvette is not the pristine museum quality example that, of course, my Corvette was. So there's a couple things wrong with it. If we look around, actually the paint is pretty decent. It's got a pretty period correct set of wheels, and one thing that I noticed, first thing I noticed is not great,
What
there's
is
some
this?
tape that appears to be sealing this transparent hardtop. I know these crack, that's not an uncommon issue, but on the exterior, actually for the most part, this is okay. Let me show you one thing though that's very common with these cars, and I'm going to do this to myself knowing what's going to happen. So the lights pop up.
Hey,
That's pretty good.
they open.
Yeah, but if I go to then shut them off, actually it worked that time. But if you do it a couple times,
Hey, they're working for you. Why
Right
are
now
you
it's
dogging on
working.
these headlights?
we were messing with these earlier, and this left one was having a hard time. We had to crank it back into position manually. Now they seem to be cooperating, so it's a bit of an intermittent thing, but let's look at the interior. This is where it's a little bit rougher. The door cards are coming apart. The seats have a fair amount of wear in them. And really everything on this interior just looks like it's lived kind of a hard life, I gotta be honest.
Yeah, but I do like the interiors of these, except for this guy. What is this growth going on here on the passenger side?
Yeah, well, you've made fun of that before, because my car had it, and that is for your safety. There's no airbags in this car because it's a classic. And yeah, that's just something nice and cushy for you to
Smack your
head
face
against.
on?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know that I'd want to smack my face on there. I'd have like
Well,
a V permanently on my forehead.
Speaks for yourself. It makes me feel safe. And as always, the little cheat sheet, nice to have. L98, just like my car was, 245 horsepower, 340 pound-feet torque. So not a boatload of horsepower, but a good amount of torque. And unfortunately, this car is an automatic, unlike the manual that my car was. So we'll see how that drives.
Does it bring you back some memories?
It does, very much. This one, though, when I was lining it up for us to film it, I noticed it seems to run a little rough, I'm not gonna lie.
Well, and what? Did somebody put some like tint on this upper roof thing? It's like all bubbling and peeling. This is, you know, for only 60,000 miles, this one's a little on the rougher side.
Yeah, that's how a lot of these cars are, you know. A lot of them have lived some pretty hard lives. I think this is no exception, and the one that I had was in pretty decent shape. This one, even though, like you said, there's only 10,000 more miles, seems to be in considerably worse shape.
Yeah, and it's got the check engine light on.
Yeah.
It's got a crummy aftermarket radio. I'm missing my window switch, oddly enough, so I just rolled down yours for you. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Because it's a little toasty in here.
It does actually appear that all these gauges and everything work, which is pretty good. So functionally it seems okay, and I'm sure whatever is causing this to misfire and sputter a little bit is something that'd be relatively simple to fix. But
Well, didn't these have a fairly complicated injection system? Or is it the sparks? The spark system was what it was complicated, right?
The 84, the crossfire injection is really rough. And then some later Model C4 Corvettes had the OptiSpark system. So these L98s are really actually not the worst things to have to work on. But again, this one's just kind of rough, so it would have to go very cheap for me to want to mess with it. And the automatic just kind of dulls the experience. So we're on the test track now. Let's give it full throttle.
Hey.
Yeah.
I will say it's faster than the Scion XB.
Yeah, it's still torquey.
Yeah.
But you just lose a lot of the excitement of driving this car because of that automatic transmission. It just, it really dulls the whole experience, you know?
Well, I will say though, I looked over as we were accelerating down that test track. I did see a big smile on your face. Did this bring back some happy memories of your old Corvette?
Well, how could it not? I love these cars. I am, and look, I don't want to throw shade at the C4 Corvette at all because I love these cars. Again, this is just not the nicest example of one, but I'm a big Corvette, C4 Corvette fan. I think these are awesome vehicles.
Yeah, I think they're pretty cool as well. I love those digital gauges.
Yeah.
The look of it is pretty cool, and they're super cheap, but more importantly, let's park it up, tell everybody whether we'll buy it or bust it, in case that's not obvious. Alright, okay, so I think you've brought me around. These C4 Corvettes, for the price of entry, are pretty cool. I think I might prefer to buy a C5, but those are going to be more expensive than this. What do you say?
Absolutely, they're going to be more expensive. And this, of course, is also a buy for me. I bought one in the past and I would buy one again, especially at the right price. If I were picking one, I'd pick one in a little nicer shape just so I wouldn't have to do so much to it. But let's talk about prices on these, and I'll start us off. I'd say for $6 grand, this, with as decent as the paint is and fixing up one or two things on it, I think for $6, this could be a decent deal. That's maybe a little on the high end, but I could see it going for that. And Tommy guessed $7,800, which is in my mind pretty high.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit high for this guy, especially considering this is a dealer auction. But I think you might actually be a little bit low because it's not very often you get something this interesting that rolls across the auction block. And so when you do, you get those enthusiast juices flowing of all the dealers. And so they might bid it up to, I'm going to guess $6,800 and kind of split right between you and Tommy. But let's toss to the auction and see who's right. All right, and last but not least is Case's pick, the C4 Corvette. What do you think it's going to go for?
See, I have a little bit of info to go off of here. I was actually with Case when he bought his C4 Corvette. He paid 10 grand for that one, and that one was in better shape than this and probably a little bit of a cooler spec. 10 grand for that one. I'm going to take a couple grand off. I'm going to guess this one's going to go for 7,000.
And Nathan, how about you? What is your guess on the C4 Corvette?
$5 grand.
$5 grand?
Yeah, because it's an automatic transmission. Nobody wants this except for Roman. And more importantly, it's using Ford adhesive on a Chevy product. That's wrong.
Yeah, well, all right.
I'm just saying.
I think you've got the lowest guess so far. Guess we'll see who's right.
All right, Brendan, what happened there?
So that C4 Corvette actually ended up no sailing. They started out at 12 grand on it. And I think that's kind of what they were hoping to get, but it ended up bidding up to $6,250. And
so there was a reserve?
There was a reserve that it probably didn't even come close to, so they no-sailed it. But Case's guess of $6 grand was the closest, so he takes the win on the first one.
I'm going to say I won that one, because I'm going to say the reserve was 7 grand, and I was right on the money. We don't know that.
The reserve was probably like 10 grand, to be honest with you, yeah, but we'll see. Well guys, this is it for my journey here on TFL. I will say it has been a fantastic few years being able to bring you guys some of the cars that I care most about, and I really appreciate you being along the journey with me. And although this kind of ends my time here on the TFL Classics channel of running it, I may not be gone forever. I'm gonna have an Instagram account that shows what I'm doing. I'm still going to be buying and selling cars because that is my true passion. The channel's going to change a little bit. It's going to be a little different without me running it full time. I'm sure you guys can stick around. You're still going to get a lot of really cool, fun, interesting content. And I may pop in from time to time if the guys want to buy a car here at the auction or something along those lines. So it may not be the last ever time that you see me on TFL. But again, this has been an absolute honor and a pleasure to be able to present for you guys the things that I am most passionate about with cars. And I've enjoyed having you along for the journey. And I will be reading every single comment that you guys comment. So please comment down in the section below and I will try and respond to as many of them as I possibly can. But this has been Brendan for the last time on Classics. Take care.